Hey, I'm Mark. Sorry I've been slow getting new videos out. I'm moving into my new digs at a new school, Rogue. The state of Idaho has let each school district decide how they should open. We're opening up this week. Half of each class will meet 2 days a week. The other half will meet 2 days a week. And then on the fifth day, we'll do learning online. With classes of 15 to 20, now I can get students 6 feet apart. The use of masks, strictly enforced. I also got football starting up here in the Great Northwest, Inland Edition. Idaho is letting districts decide their approach to games and practice. So high school athletic directors are scrambling as some districts cancel games. Our opponent for this Friday backed out, and we're scrambling to schedule another school. But we're in better shape than Washington and Oregon. They're not playing at all. Let's blame California. It all started with California announcing that high school football would not be played this fall. A few other states followed California. Then Texas and Florida announced that high school football would be played, giving the figurative poke in the eye to California. I saw Friday Night Lights. Nothing stops Texas high school football. Two concepts that we've discussed in our sports history class are now falling into place. Conferexit, with conferences becoming so big and so unwieldy that schools will start to bolt, and the adjustments made by schools in the face of hardship. In the 1940s, it was World War II. In 2020, it's coronavirus. Let's look at what's going on in the college football landscape today. Let's go rogue. A week ago, the Mid-America Conference, the MAC, announced that they were canceling their season this year because of coronavirus. No MACtion this fall, with Directional Michigan facing Fruit Jar Tech on Tuesday night. Nah. What college football fans like myself were waiting to see was how the power conferences would do. Then, the Big Ten announced that they were not going to have a season. The Pac-12 followed, and the Mountain West followed them. Then college football got funky. The SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 gave the Big Ten the Big Middle, announcing that they were going to play football without them. At this point, we need to consider the politics of 2020. We have a presidential election in the middle of this fall's football season, and Democrats are using every tool in their toolbox to stop Donald Trump's re-election. They want to create as much disruption in our everyday lives as they can around the country to make voters believe that only their party can come in and reestablish order. Riots, COVID, keeping people locked in their homes, don't let small businesses reopen, don't let schools reopen, and now, no college football. Republicans want to return to normalcy as quickly as possible. Put COVID in the rearview mirror. Get rid of the masks. Get the country back to work. Get kids back into school. And play football games on Friday nights and on Saturdays as soon as possible. Damn the consequences. So what if a few more people die? I got a really big face. Each state's COVID policy is determined by their governors. The chancellors of the public universities are subject to the state's governors. Let's look at the political landscape, its effect on COVID policy, and its implications for college football. The B1G and the Pac-12 voted to cancel their season. 9 of the 14 B1G schools are in states with Democratic governors. 9 of the Pac-12 schools are in states with Democratic governors. These Democrat governors want to protect you from COVID, or they want to create as much disruption in your everyday life as possible before the 2020 election in November. Go to the polls on the first Tuesday in November after not watching USC play on Saturday? Trump's fault. The SEC and the Big XII voted to play. 8 of the 10 schools in the Big XII and 12 of the 14 schools in the SEC are in states that have Republican governors. They want to return to normalcy before the 2020 election. They want you to go to the polls on the first Tuesday in November after watching your team play on Saturday. The outlier here is the ACC. 9 of the 15 ACC schools are in blue states, run by Democrats. 4 of those 9 are in North Carolina. 2 are in Virginia, 1's in New York, 1's in Pennsylvania, and 1 is in usually red Kentucky. But ACC football is tied to the SEC. It goes as the SEC goes. If the Gators are playing, the Noles and the Hurricanes better be playing also. If South Carolina's playing, Clemson should be playing too. And if Georgia's playing, there's no reason why Georgia Tech shouldn't. But let's take a closer look at what happened in the B1G. Big Ten coaches, including Ohio State's Ryan Day, Michigan's Jim Harbaugh, Penn State's James Franklin, and Nebraska's Scott Frost, publicly advocated for playing the 2020 season. However, their pleas, and those of Big Ten players, were not enough to change the collective minds of the Big Ten leaders. It was announced last week that the B1G would not play a 2020 season. And, quote, the vote of the Big Ten Council of Presidents and Chancellors was overwhelmingly in support of postponing fall sports and will not be revisited. It was originally reported that the vote was 12-2, with only Nebraska and Iowa voting to play. University of Iowa fans were understandably upset. Iowa State, as a member of the Big XII, were playing their season, while 100 miles away, the Hawkeyes weren't. Penn State is not playing football, but 2 hours away, the University of Pittsburgh is. The Ohio State University is a favorite to win the national championship. They're not playing either, but the University of Cincinnati is. You know who else is playing in Ohio? High schools. Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, a Republican, has opened the state. High school football is being played. You know where football is not being played? Michigan. Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer, siren. She was the one that was arresting people for buying their weed and feed at the Home Depot. She may have had a part in the B1G's decision not to play this fall. There is strong suspicion that she pressured B1G Commissioner Kevin Warren to end the season. Remember, the first conference to announce the canceling of their season was the MAC. 3 of the 10 MAC schools are in Michigan. By being the first to announce the season's cancellation, it set the table for the B1G, who covers the same footprint. I believe that Governor Whitmer hoped that when the B1G canceled their season, the other conferences would follow. College football would be lost, more disruption, and America would blame Donald Trump on Election Day. Let's go back to the 2016 election. History, man. President Trump won the electoral vote because he was able to swing 3 normally blue states, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and 2 swing states, Ohio and Iowa, all states with schools in the B1G. For voters, could it come down this year to whether or not the Big Ten plays? Now it appears that there may not have been a vote of Big Ten presidents and chancellors. Multiple B1G athletic directors are hinting that they don't know if the decision was made by member institutions. Sandy Barber, athletic director at Penn State, stated publicly that she didn't know that there was even a vote. A petition to reconsider the decision, started by Ohio State quarterback and Heisman Trophy candidate Justin Fields, has gained 300,000 signatures. Parents of B1G players are pressuring Commissioner Warren to reconsider. Parents of Nebraska players have filed suit in federal court against the B1G, seeking the transcripts of the discussions and to see what schools voted which way, or if there was even a vote at all. Ohio State has been even more proactive, floating the idea of 6 B1G teams: the Buckeyes, Nebraska, Iowa, Penn State, and 2 others. They want Michigan and Wisconsin playing a home-and-home 10-game schedule. Oddly enough, Trump wants Michigan and Wisconsin as well. They're electoral votes to win the presidential election. I don't believe that it was Ohio State's intent, but wouldn't it be good to watch Michigan, Wisconsin Penn State, Ohio State, and Iowa, Nebraska on the Saturday before the first Tuesday in November. Maybe Governor DeWine did have something to do with it. Don't count on Governor Whitmer letting Big Blue join that arrangement, though. I'm not a player at Michigan, or Michigan State, or any of the directional Michigan schools, nor am I Jim Harbaugh. But if I was, do I want to stick around if my governor's treating me this way? No, I'm out. In an effort to swing the vote of her state, Governor Whitmer may be setting Michigan football back about a decade. If Governor Whitmer has her way, I don't think the Wolverines will be beating the Buckeyes anytime soon. This is a huge, huge, huge gamble. If college football goes on without Michigan and teams make it through the season without an outbreak of coronavirus, Michigan's electoral votes seal it for Trump, and Gretchen Whitmer will never be heard from again. But if Michigan doesn't play and coronavirus decimates college football, Gretchen Whitmer becomes the biggest player in the Democratic Party. Hey, remember Conferexit? Does this situation speed up the Conferexit carousel? Is there now enough bad faith in some of the conferences that schools might seek to bolt? Senior years canceled? Millions of dollars lost? No opportunity to play for a national championship or for a Heisman Trophy? Maybe they won't bolt this year, but has enough bad faith been built up that before the new TV contracts are negotiated 3 years from now, something might happen? How about this? Iowa and Nebraska schedule a slate of Big 12 schools this fall. They become de facto members of the Big 12. Iowa, Iowa State, Nebraska, Oklahoma? Or do Ohio State and Penn State gather some of the more high-profile B1G schools and create a new conference, leaving Rutgers and Maryland and Illinois and the rest, like the Catholic 7 did when they bolted from the Big East in 2011? And no one has said much about the Pac-12. The Pac-12 is the worst positioned conference out of the Power 5. The University of Southern California is complaining loudly about having to share its ever-shrinking revenues with Washington State and Oregon State. Is this the straw that breaks the Trojans' back? Does USC bolt the conference and become an independent? Does UCLA stick around if its closest rival leaves? Do Stanford and Cal bolt with their in-state colleagues as well? Interesting times in college football this year. Is B1G football so important that the decision not to play will swing 15 to 20 electoral votes one way or another and turn the presidential election? Or am I off my nut? Let me know in the comments below. Hey, thanks for coming by. I hope you had fun. I did. But I'll quit my day job. And next time you're getting your forehead swiped before heading into a college football stadium. Probably not in Ann Arbor. Remember me, I'm Mark Haggard, I'm a history teacher, and I've gone rogue.